Hello, my name is Twix. I am a retired competitive VTOL VR player. I have competed in a few tournaments, and during my time playing VTOL VR, I have gained about 2,000 plus hours. I believe it's being closer to 2,500 actually. And I'm hoping to teach a little bit on my way out. Today, I'm going to be talking about the basics of dogfighting. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about turn circles, as I believe them to be the most fundamental and easiest to implement thing for a new player. So, let's try to think about what dogfighting is. When you think about dogfighting, it's just competitive turning. Two aircraft trying to turn into each other and get a kill. So, aircraft, as we know, turn in circles. You don't see an aircraft get in the air and start doing right angle turns, right? So, we have to boil down dogfighting into circles, turning in circles. Now, there are two ways an aircraft can turn in a circle. We can think about the aircraft turning a circle in terms of how wide it turns, or its radius. Excuse my handwriting, I'm using a mouse. Or we could think about the aircraft's turn in terms of its turn rate, how fast around the circle it actually turns. Rate. Again, excuse my handwriting. Okay, how can we apply these to a fight? Well, let's set up a little situation. Two aircraft meeting head-on. Red guy and a blue guy. Now, something that I'm going to note, when these aircraft come in on the center and they meet and start their fight, we call this moment in time the merge. I'm going to be using this word throughout the video. Now, our aircraft come into merge, and we're going to imagine, for the sake of this demonstration, that they're both going to turn upwards to the north. So our blue guy will fly like this. And our red guy will fly like this. I want you to notice a couple of things. First of all, when they come into the center here, they're both moving towards each other in a head-on fight, almost like the merge that we saw earlier. Secondly, at these midpoints, they are both still moving upwards. And third, their turn circles, or their flight paths, make up one circle. And it's for this reason that we call these one circle fights. Okay. But how does this apply to our concepts that we talked about earlier? Well, let's try and apply this. And to do that, we're going to take this exact setup and change it just slightly. Two aircraft come in, but the only difference is that this blue guy will be moving at 500 knots, and this red guy will be moving at 300 knots. Why is this important? Well, when we are at different speeds, they will affect our radius and our rate. When you're going fast, your turn radius will be very wide, but you'll have the capability to have a higher turn rate. Notice I said capability. And I'll talk about it at a later time as to why that's important, but just keep note of that for now. And the same goes vice versa. The slower you're going, the smaller your turn radius, but also the less capability for turn rate you have. Okay. So how can we apply this? So we see that this blue guy is moving 500 knots. We can infer that because he has more speed, he's going to have a wider turn radius, but also is going to have the capability for more turn rate. So let's illustrate that. Really wide turn, but he does so quickly. In 1 unit of time, arbitrary unit of time, he has already reached the top of his turn. But in the same unit of time, this red guy is going to move this far. Notice his smaller turn radius has made it so he's already in an offensive position, yet even though he was turning around the circle slower, the rate that this guy is turning does not matter, because it's radius that presides in the one circle fight. Again, this is one circle. They are both moving up. So, what about if the aircraft don't merge in the same direction? What if the other guy turns in the other direction? Well, that's where rate starts to come into effect. And we can illustrate that the same. We're going to say that this guy is moving downwards, and this guy is moving upwards. And actually, I'm going to move this over here. This is for our other guy, for the sake of it. So our red guy, I fix these a little bit. Red guy is going to be moving upwards, so we can illustrate that as such. And our blue guy is going to be moving downwards. We can illustrate that as such. Right? Let's take note of a couple things. Again, here and here, they're both moving in opposite directions. This guy's nose is chasing this guy's tail, while in this one circle fight, at the same points, they're chasing each other's noses. Also notice this creates not one, but two circles, which is why they call these two circle fights. Okay. How do these concepts apply? Well, it's better to demonstrate rate within a two-circle if we demonstrate two-circle a little differently. And if you played VTOL VR or any other flight sim, especially in a dogfight scenario, you're likely familiar with this situation where you come into a fight, you're doing your stuff, and then eventually you get stuck in this circular fight where nobody gains any ground. And you're just going in circles over and over and over. Take note of something. It's the exact same as a two-circle fight. At the midpoints, they're moving in opposite directions, chasing from nose to tail. Yes, there is no separate two circles, but that's only because in this configuration, their centers of their circles, let me do this, the centers of their circles are separated, while here they are together or aligned. Okay, how can we apply this? Well, we're going to mark this as position 1 for the red guy, and this as position 1 for the blue guy. We're going to say, for the sake of example, that the blue guy, again, is moving at, say, 250 knots. But this red guy is moving, say, 150 knots. Now, ignoring any issues that may arise from the aircraft stalling and falling out of the sky or anything like that, from what we've learned earlier, the blue guy is going to have a higher capability for rate, while the red guy, having less energy, will have a lower capability for rate. Now, why is that? Well, something very important to understand within the world of dogfighting is that energy is life. Now, something we should know is that having too much energy can be bad. Nobody wants to be a Mach merger. If you go into your merges at Mach 1, you're going to lose because your radius is so astronomically high that it doesn't matter. And if you're going that fast anyway, you'll enter G-lock. You'll black out, and you won't be able to control your aircraft. And even at that point, your aircraft will start having structural integrity issues. But there's a sweet spot where you have enough energy to move your aircraft, but not so much that you start breaking it or your pilot. We need to understand that in order to move your nose of your aircraft, we need to have speed. You trade your speed or your energy to move your nose. The blue guy has more energy, so he can move his nose. Now, the proper way to say this is that he has more energy to pull more G's, and more G's means more rate, because you're turning harder, which means you're turning faster. This guy is on the verge of stalling. I mean, he technically is, but ignore that. He can't pull G's, so he can't have a high turn rate. And if they stay at these constant speeds, he will consistently have a high amount of energy to pull a high amount of G's, and this guy will consistently have a low amount of energy and have a low amount of G's. So let's visualize that. Once again, using an arbitrary amount of time. So in this arbitrary amount, or I'm going to say unit of time, we're going to say that this red guy, moving 150 knots, is going to move this far. Again, he's not going to be going around the circle quickly because he's at a low energy state. While in the same unit of time, we're going to say that this blue guy travels this far. Okay. Let's advance it one more unit of time. Red guy goes around about that far. Blue guy moves this far. You might start to see what's going on here. Let's push it one more. Goes this far. Goes this far. He's right behind the dude. At this point, you can start shooting missiles, you can start shooting guns, you can do whatever. But you start to understand why rate starts to become advantageous here. Because he can start moving around the circle faster than the other guy, and he can just catch up behind him. Even though they started in neutral positions, he ended up behind him. And radius won't have any effect here. So we need to realize and keep in mind that when we're dealing with one circle, we need to worry about our radius. And when we're doing two circle, we need to worry about our rate. In this concept applies to both forms of two circles, whether they're aligned or unaligned. If this guy is moving 150 and this guy is moving at 250, the red guy could be here at this midpoint while the blue guy is here. And you can start to understand why that might be advantageous. And those are the very basics of dogfighting when it comes to turn circles. Now, there are a lot of other concepts that one can explore, such as yo-yos and different fights like scissors and stuff like that. But this is all one needs in order to really step up their skills within dogfighting. I hope that this helps anybody who needs it, and that you have a good day.